Braham is a very friendly community. It has a lot of hardworking people, and they know how to work together. And that's why people like it here, because they're always willing to help people who need help.
I think what makes Braham so special is the people, the community of people. Braham is run largely by volunteers. We're a small community, and I believe it's the volunteers that really make the community what it is and carry it forward.
Maybe you don't know this, but Braham is considered the homemade pie capital of Minnesota. So when we had the opportunity to work in Braham to help them reinvigorate or reinvent their community, particularly their downtown, how could we say no? As we began to work with the community, the thing that became evident was that there were very few places for people to have meaningful social connections. So this was identified early on as a challenge, and the community began to focus on how they could remedy that.
I think the process for the community center started back probably in 2007. Initiative Foundation had a Healthy Communities Partnership grant that would pay for leadership training, and many of us were involved in that process.
And out of that came 3 priorities. Number 1 was a community center, and then one was a grocery store, and another was outdoor activities, upgrading the facilities for the kids in the area.
There was a particular concern and focus on youth that was one of the driving forces behind the community center, and a real need for kids in this area to have opportunities that might be available to kids in larger communities.
A community center is important to small towns like Braham because it draws the people in. We want to keep our community people local. We don't want them having to travel 10 and 20 miles to hold a function.
When people ask me about community centers and why more small towns don't have them, what I tell them is that it really comes down to cost. The cost to build a community center and the cost to maintain and operate a community center. Small towns like Braham have to come up with innovative solutions to have a community center. They have to look inward at their own assets and think about what is it in their community that could make this possible.
When I first arrived, I noticed that there was this community center project in Braham. The people behind it were people in the community. In fact, a large share of them were involved with Tusentak, the thrift store.
It's everybody's store, nobody owns it, and all the profits go back into the community. Well, maybe Tusentak can help with this project, so I brought it to the board, and they agreed, let's try this. And so away we went, and we've been working on it ever since.
Here are people volunteering their time to earn some money to give back to the community. That's their only goal, is to build this community, to make it a better place for themselves, their kids, and their grandkids.
I took on the project, doing the feasibility analysis, and was just overwhelmed by the amount of volunteerism in the community. They have a thrift store that generates over 21,000 volunteer hours a year, which is just stunning.
We know that projects like this don't just happen. The Initiative Foundation has played a role, but really only a small part. It's taken many other people and organizations to make this a reality.
People are working hard and are willing to take a chance in Braham. That's what we need, and that's what small communities need. You need people that are willing to take a chance and willing to work hard.
Organizations like Minnesota Deed, the City of Braham, USDA Rural Development, local banks, East Central Energy, all of these have come together to make this a reality.
Probably the biggest day was the day we got the $600,000 deed grant. That showed everybody that we can make this happen. Once the financing was in place, the permitting process started. That was probably the biggest milestone. And then as the building goes up each day, it's fun to come out and look at it.
And it is. It's just neat to watch people strive for what they want, and they're working for what they want, and everything just seems to keep falling into place. It's just nice to watch something come together.
Well, it's taken them 7 years, but they're making it happen. Even as we speak, this building is under construction. It's a beautiful building and a great facility for the community. They'll be able to have meals for over 300 people. There's a library connection. There's a computer lab and meeting rooms for youth. There's all types of facilities, including a food bank and office space. And all of these things are going to help make those great social connections happen that the community felt were so important.
I've rarely seen a community with the level of volunteer commitment, volunteer spirit, and engagement. We can succeed. We can do. We're all in this together, and we're going to make it work for our community.
We're building our community center. We're building our community center. We're building our community center because our dreams came true.